Let's now talk about some general characteristics of discourse historical approach, which comes to us based on various studies conducted so far. We can easily say that DHA, or discourse as historical approach, is problem oriented. It's not an analysis for the sake of analysis of any text. Rather, it looks into any inherent or embedded problem in a discourse or text, and then the researcher takes a kind of mission or purpose to bring that problem or embedded biasedness out of that text for the reader. So it is very much problem oriented. It cannot be applied on any text. It has to be applied on a certain text which has certain problem or ideology formation embedded in it. Then we can say that therefore it would imply on all kinds of text, written, oral, maybe in form of some semiotic symbols or other forms of discourse. So anything which can be helpful in decoding a certain discrimination embedded in a text and it has a certain history would be an area of interest for DHA. Then it is interdisciplinary. It is not possible that you can conduct a successful DHA discourse historical approach analysis by following a certain linguistic line, linear linguistic line of analysis. You will have to incorporate various sociocultural knowledges in order to conduct a successful DHA analysis. Then, in order to understand, analyze, and explain a certain kind of data or text in DHA, one need to apply various methods and theories simultaneously. DHA is three-dimensional. As far as the analysis is concerned, it focuses on specific contents or topics of a specific discourse, and then the first thing we need to do, the data we are analyzing or the text we are analyzing, is to find out that what kind of important issues are being discussed there, or what various aspects of the central issues has been incorporated or being dealt in that particular text, and what are those issues related to that central topic which are missed out. And we also need to find out, have they been missed out deliberately, or it's just an omission. Then we need to, in order to do that, we need to employ certain discursive strategies which may be relevant to unearth the various manipulations which has been done while the construction of that particular text. Then linguistic means cannot be excluded. They work as types when we need to identify certain problems in the text, and certain contextualized linguistic means have to be applied according to the nature of the text which is being investigated, and we may call them tokens which hint at particular contextual features of a text and help us understand the embedded ideologies or identities in that text. DHA doesn't just look at the historical dimension of a text, rather it looks at other aspects of the text also. It looks into certain fields or areas of interest into a text. For example, DHA focuses on discourse and discrimination. This discrimination may be of any nature, for example, of race, maybe based on ethnicism, nationalism, xenophobia. These days, the discourses about Islamophobia are very popular based on the events that occurred in last 2 or 3 decades. And then about sexism, it's also very popular. Language barriers in various institutional discourses, for example, hospitals, courtrooms, classrooms, academic and media institutions. So all kinds of institutions may be included. And then about discourse and politics or policy or polity. politics of the past or of the present and how they are interrelated, how discourses about a certain segment of politics has changed over the years. These may be the areas of interest of DHA. Then discourses about migration, asylum, multilingualism, multicultural identities are also relevant. Then discourse and identity, this involves not only local identities but also national and supranational identity, which is very popular these days. And then about the identity of certain blocks, for example, European Union or some Asian pact or any other thing. It also focuses on linguistic identity. Then discourse and history, and this may be about national history or about history of a particular segment of the society. National socialism, fascism, commemoration, history of discourse studies, etc. They are all relevant. Then discourse in the media, in both forms of media, in the classical print media, for example, newspapers, or the contemporary electronic media, or even the very recent social media. The discourse of social media is becoming somehow an attraction for the people working in the field of DHA. Then organizational communication, for example, in institutions of European Union has been investigated in detail, and organizational communication is also investigated these days in other parts of the world also. Then discourse and ecology, especially about the discourse related to climate change in the world all over or in various particular parts of the world, they are of relevance to DHA. Discourse historical approach is not a method of language analysis only, or is not reduced to language analysis. Rather, it involves theories, multidisciplinary theories, methods, approaches, and it comes out with a practical solution of the problem. It doesn't just leave you with a bare or theoretical analysis of a certain discourse. Rather, an ideal DHA analysis would recommend you certain practical solutions to answer certain social questions, to improve certain social discriminations, or to answer certain identity questions.